What's up everyone? Welcome to Dax Moto, where we are passionate about all things cars and motorcycles. Today, we are diving into an epic day in Atlanta, Georgia, where we linked up with my friend and fellow car enthusiast and collector, John. He was kind enough to entrust me with the keys to his Lamborghini Countach, an absolute blast to drive, and we headed to the iconic Caffeine Octane monthly Atlanta car show. The car show was incredible, packed with people and an insane variety of rides. But let me tell you, John's Porsche 918 Spyder and Countach were definitely a major highlight of the show. The crowd loved them. After the show, we went back to John's place on the north side of Atlanta, where he gave us an exclusive quick tour of his jaw-dropping garage. Seriously, a car lover's dream. Then we wrapped up the day by heading over to the Savoy Auto Museum for an exclusive Supercar tire-side chat led by the one and only Ed Bolian. If you haven't already, head over to VinWiki and check out the story that I did there with Ed on how I acquired my grandfather's Countach. Stick around and check out this tour of John's incredible collection. Let's get into it. Well, I'm Seth, here with my friend John. John, thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
We just had a fun meetup going to the Caffeine Octane in Atlanta. Took a couple of your cars out. We took this Lamborghini 1988 Countach.
Countach 5000 QV, Quattro Valvole.
And you drove your
918 Spyder, Porsche.
So tell us a little bit about your car collection here, your favorites, your highlights.
Yeah. So starting over here, I sort of call this Fast and Furious row. Usually there's a Supra parked there, but there's a Z28 there right now. You've got the 1999 Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX, similar to what Brian drove in the first Fast and the Furious. You got the 1993 RX-7, they call it the FD RX-7. Dom drove in the first Fast and the Furious. Not a Fast and the Furious car, but this is a very special car. This is a 2015 Z28. They made about 1,800 of these. This was their track, their killer track car. This thing has carbon ceramic brakes. They took all of the sound deadening out. It's got the 7-liter LS7 out of the Z06 Corvette. This is a killer track car.
So was this a car that you built, or was that a factory?
This factory. It was like a factory track car.
Factory track car.
Yeah. So custom aero that they made. It had the suspension was developed by an F1 racing team. First time they'd ever done something like this. So kind of a special car.
So tell us, I know this is a special car, Nissan GTR if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this
so
is...
What does the term JDM mean for those that don't know, like myself? What do you know what that stands for even? Is that Japanese domestic?
Japanese something, I don't...
Japanese domestic manufacturing maybe?
I don't know, but USDM really JDM is come to mean any Japanese car, but really it means right-hand drive for the Japanese market. And then USDM is like these two Japanese cars that are made for the US market.
Gotcha.
So this is a very special car. This car got the nickname Godzilla because when they came out, they were able to beat all the other cars on the track. But we never got them. So we had to wait 25 years. These could just be imported last year. And this car is one of 66 base GTRs, R34 GTRs in this special midnight purple paint. So it changes between purple and blue and green and kind of like a gold color. This is a very nice one, 33,000 original miles. These are kind of like a holy grail car for Japanese sports car collectors. Super fun to drive and really ahead of its time. All-wheel drive, all-wheel steering. It even has a screen inside that, if you live in Japan, can tune in the television. So
and what year did you say it was?
99.
99.
And the HUD, the gauges on the screen were developed by the video game developers from Gran Turismo. Actually did the graphics for the screen.
And John is a video game developer?
I'm a video game developer, yeah.
Designer, developer?
Designer, programmer, developer. Used to be the CEO of a video game company, so done all of it in video games.
So I was talking, my friend Mike was here with this morning. 4 favorites. This is one of my top 4 favorites. So tell us a little bit about your Plymouth. Is it Barracuda? What do you call it?
This is a 71 Hemi Cuda convertible.
Hemi Cuda
Now,
convertible.
these are the rarest and most valuable muscle cars on the planet.
Yeah.
If it originally came with this motor. This one did not. Worth millions of dollars if it originally came with this motor. Actually, if it did, it'd be the more valuable than probably every car in here combined.
Yes, yes.
But this is a tribute car, so done just like the original with some nice upgrades. Originally, these cars had plastic panels, vinyl seats. This one's all leather inside. Originally came with a 4-speed manual. This is a 5-speed Tremec. Because when I would drive these cars were made for drag racing.
Yes.
The reason there was originally only 13 of them was because you only put this engine in the car if you were a drag racer back then.
Yep.
And nobody wanted to drag race a convertible.
Yep.
So you had to be insane to spec this car with
Yep.
the Hemi and a convertible. But drag racing rear gears, so this thing would run over 4,500 RPMs going down the highway.
Wow.
The overdrive with the extra gear.
Does
really
it have
helps a lot.
power steering or not?
It does have power
It
steering.
does have power steering, yeah.
This is probably my favorite, or one of my favorite cars to drive, because it's just modern enough with power steering, power disc brakes to be drivable in modern traffic, but it's got that muscle car rumble.
And the paint color name is?
Sublime Green.
Sublime Green.
Which is
and
my
here we have next to
favorite,
it.
which is my favorite
Yes.
car color. These would all be Sublime Green
Yes.
if they made it in every car, but they
Yes.
don't. This is a 2023 Demon 170. This is the quickest mass-produced car in the world. 1,025 horsepower from the factory. 0 to 60, I think, in 1.6, quarter mile in 8.9.
Wow.
Comes from the factory with drag racing tires on it.
I saw, that's the first thing I noticed was there's rear tires in the back. So,
Dodge makes you sign something when you buy this car, because I bought it new,
Yeah.
that says, I will not drive this car in the rain. I will not drive this car in the snow.
But it is street legal with all those factory
Street
options.
legal,
Yeah.
just barely.
Barely. Yeah.
39 Cadillac LaSalle hearse. Now, older people like me, or actually even older than me, might remember the James Bond movie Dr. No. In the movie Dr. No, James Bond is driving a British sports car through some canyon roads trying to escape, while one of these is chasing James Bond.
A hearse in that one? Or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Now imagine British sports car in a 1939 Cadillac that weighs 6,000 pounds.
Yes.
Somehow in the movie magic, it kept up.
What was on this flag here?
It says funeral.
Funeral.
So hearse/ambulance. Back then, they were dual purpose.
Yep.
If they got there fast enough, it was an ambulance. If they didn't get there fast enough, it was a hearse. So this is my wife's car, and it's going to be turned into a kind of a rat rod.
That's cool.
This is a special car. This is a 1983 high output Trans Am. And in the early 80s, the Trans Ams were really slow. They made 130, 150 horsepower. Pontiac made 600 high output Trans Ams for that year. Best suspension, best brakes, lots of options, all of them manual transmission. But this is probably the nicest one in the world. 524 actual miles.
And what's the TV show that had
Knight Rider.
Knight Rider with the actor
Yes,
is
David Hasselhoff.
David Hasselhoff.
This would be
It
Kit.
had the kit, the red
A
laser
light
thing.
bar on the front, and of course I grew up in that era. So when I found this at an auction, I just had to get it. And
You said currently it has
24 miles.
and you've driven it how many miles?
1 mile. I've driven it 1 mile. Drove it around the block with my wife and say, I drove it.
No, that's great.
This is 2023 Z06 Corvette. This is the democratization of the modern supercar.
Yes.
No longer do you have to spend $400,000 and buy a car from Europe to have a mid-engine, high-revving V8 supercar. Go into your Chevy dealership, walk out. This is my favorite all-around car to drive because it's great in traffic, it's great in curves, has a beautiful sound. Most powerful naturally aspirated V8 ever put in a car, almost 700 horsepower.
Wow.
Revs to 8,600 RPMs.
Wow. So a lot of performance for the budget compared to
Absolutely.
a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or whatever else.
Porsche or anything.
Yeah, yeah. That's great.
59 Plymouth Sport Fury. These are also really rare. This was the Hellcat or the Demon of its day.
Gotcha.
These were very, very fast, big block, dual 4-barrel. At the time, contemporary reviews said this is the best handling American car next to the Corvette.
Wow.
This car was special. It was featured in the movie Hidden Figures.
Great. Yes.
So,
Look, back in a new car here. So this is a resto mod.
this is a 74 Challenger Resto Mod.
Resto mod,
This was done up as a tribute to the 2018 Dodge Demon. Custom wheels made to look like the Demon wheels, the same tires, custom interior. And then I do have to open the hood on this one just because it is probably my most, I got it. I got you.
And we'll scratch it.
Yeah. Probably my most pretty car under the hood.
Wow. That was beautiful.
So 360 cubic inch V8, which is what this car came with. but built to be over 500 horsepower at the wheel with a carburetor. So I call this man jewelry with all the
How does this one compare to the Cuda?
This one, because of the modern suspension and everything, is a little bit faster, but the Cuda is built to about 600 horsepower.
Gotcha.
So it's got a little, that one's a little more low-end grunt, and this is a little more top-end horsepower.
Gotcha. So red and black is some of my favorite like motorcycle, bicycle cars. I love like red and black cars. I think blue is my overall favorite color, but I love the spec on the Corvette. This car, I just love it.
I also love red and black.
Yeah, and
so
also,
if I can't get green, it's red and black.
Two of my siblings went to Georgia, so obviously,
Georgia. My son-in-law went to Georgia. There it is. There we go. Porsche 918 Spyder. This is one of what they call the holy trinity of hypercars.
Yes.
So 2014, 2015, Porsche, McLaren, and Ferrari all came out with their first hypercars. Hybrid cars with nearly 1,000 horsepower, a price of around or over $1 million. This was the first car to break 7 minutes on the Nürburgring racetrack in Germany. Busted the old record by like 15 or 20 seconds.
Wow.
Absolutely. 10 years later, still one of the fastest cars in the world. Still one of the best handling cars in the world. So far ahead of its time. And my joke with this car is that I feel like Iron Man. When I put this on, it's like Iron Man putting on the suit. Without it, I'm just a normal person.
Yep.
With this car, it's like strapping on the suit.
So it's an e-hybrid, so when you're pulling in the garage here, you're in the electronic mode, so you can roll out of your neighborhood nice and quiet, not wake up
the neighbors, not gas myself out in the garage.
Yeah. And how does that electric motor assist you or not while it's swapping over to the gas motor?
So it uses the electric motor a lot when you accelerate.
Okay.
And then it sort of switches over to the gas motor.
Gotcha.
You know, low end, electric, brings in the gas.
And it is a Spyder, so the top's removable.
Top's removable.
Yeah. I love it.
And the license plate says Arachnid, which I absolutely love.
I saw that. I was driving behind it. I was trying to figure out what it was, and I was like, Arachnid, Spyder, of course.
Ferrari 512BB, Koenig Special. So the Ferrari 512BB was the first mid-engine Ferrari badged car made by Ferrari. There's one more that they made, which we'll get to in a minute. Flat 12, 5 liter, 375-ish horsepower. This one was modified by the company Koenig in the late 80s, however, with the wide body, some slight performance modifications, 345 tires. Believe it or not, Seth, there's really something really great about this. If they pick some other weird size of tire, there'd be no way to get tires. Uses the exact same size tires as the Lamborghini Countach.
Wow. So front and rear?
Front and rear.
Wow, that's really cool.
So you put Countach tires on it and you're good to go.
Yeah. So I know this is a special car. I've recently acquired a 308 GTSI, which is only a V8. This being a flat 12, I know is the famous Ferrari V12 engines that they were known for years and years and years.
The Daytona, all of those,
That's great. I
love it.
And
this is the styling on this car, like your 308, the styling of the 308 kind of evolved from the 512BB.
Yes, beautiful car. And this is another one when I was talking about my top 4 favorites. I was trying to get down to top 3, but I had to get to top 4.
Okay.
This was definitely in there. Lexus LFA. I've seen one other one in showroom before. I've never heard one before. Okay. But I know, I've heard a Carrera GT before, and that sound that I heard way back in 2008 has always stuck with me. But what I've heard, they acoustically engineered this to sound good, is what I've heard.
Absolutely. So Lexus spent 10 years and $1 billion engineering this car. Their goal was to beat Ferrari, Lamborghini, Porsche in making their own supercar. And they did. In 2010, when these came out, they had the Nürburgring record. They beat all the other cars. Co-developed with Yamaha, who, as you probably know, being a motorcycle guy, they develop motorcycles. Do you know what else they develop?
All sorts of musical instruments. I've got a guitar, a classic guitar that's a Yamaha.
So they worked with the musical instrument division to tune the exhaust sound of this car to sound amazing, to sound like an F1 car going down the road.
Yes.
They also ran tubes into, not speakers, but tubes that go inside the car, so you hear the engine bay, engine sound and surround sound inside the car.
And very unique triple exhaust tips out the back, correct?
That's right.
In a triangle shape.
Which I believe are tuned like a music chord.
Wow.
So.
That's great. How many miles have you put on this one since you owned it?
I've put 2,000 miles on this car. I got it with 4, now it's got 6.
That's awesome.
So, one of my favorite cars to drive in the whole world.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, what can you say about Lamborghini Countach? Cutting edge design that still looks incredible 50 years later, 40 years later. You know,
I
these
was noticing this morning, out of the thousands, hundreds of cars there's always something special, eye-grabbing, just the very quintessential Lamborghini, early 80s, the wedge-shaped design, really the dawn of the supercar.
Absolutely.
And there's something special about it. Like I said, hundreds of cars there this morning, thousands of cars this morning, and you got in here to rev this thing up, and just the crowds, people come, the cameras coming out, the smiles, the waves. I also have a Lamborghini Countach, and every time you get in, I tell people it's an event, it's an experience.
Absolutely.
It's fun for you, it's fun for everybody else, and it's really awesome to see them going down the road, especially.
For sure. First car with, these were originally called scissor doors. They became known as Lambo doors because they were on Lamborghinis. Yes. This one's fun because I got the signature from Valentino Balboni in here when he inspected the car.
Yes, and he was the famous factory test driver.
Factory test development driver for the Miura, the Countach, the Diablo. And there is a Lamborghini named after him, the LP 550 Gallardo Balboni edition.
Yes, which I believe is a rear-wheel drive manual, I believe, is the Balboni spec. So this is another one of my top favorites. Like you said, your favorite color, similar to those over there.
Yes,
I love the spec of this car. I love the tan interior and Ferraris. Tell us a little bit about the Ferrari Dino.
Yeah, so when this car was developed in the late 60s, it was a revolutionary design. You know, this and the Miura came out about the same time. First mid-engine Ferrari, well, it was called Dino because Enzo Ferrari was afraid of alienating his customer base because it was all V12 front engine cars, or flat 12. And so they named the car, they badged it as Dino. Designed by Ferrari, built in the Ferrari factory, right next to all the other Ferraris, badged as a Dino, named after Enzo Ferrari's son that had passed away.
Yes.
So V6, that is transverse mounted and about 200 horsepower, but very light car in the mid 2000s in pounds and just light and tossable. The closest thing to driving this car is probably driving the RX-7, which is also a light tossable car.
So obviously not the huge displacement as a V12, but when you go down in weight, you still have that power. I know you have a light handling stick shift manual. It's just, I feel like there's nothing better.
Yeah, not to make a pun, but it's sublime driving this car.
Have you taken this out for a mountain drive?
I've driven it on some twisty back roads, and it's really fun.
So that seems like where this car would excel. I absolutely love the open top. You're gonna have a fun sports car. I feel like might as well take the top off, get some weight in your hair. But well, great. Thank you, John. Thank you so much for the tour.
Pleasure.
Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for letting me drive the Countach this morning.
You're welcome.
It's tons of fun trying to keep up with you and a Porsche 918 Spyder. I couldn't quite do it, but I only stalled it once when I was trying to back into the garage here. But beautiful car, beautiful collection. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your friendship.
Thank you, Seth. Appreciate you.
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to see my segment of the Supercar Talk with Ed Bolian at the Savoy Auto Museum and hear my story on how I acquired my grandfather's Countach. Check back soon.